even know how to intro this. Like, so this is the So You Want to Start a Business podcast, and this is episode 1. And we're sitting down with Lev and John, who own the Bear River Bottling Company. So, first of all, thank you guys so much for coming on.
You bet. So
our pleasure.
Cool, awesome. So, priority number 1 for this podcast is for those who are trying to start a business, thinking about starting a business, but you kind of want the extra push. And we want to be able to give people the story of how you guys got started. So, Lev, tell me about the Bear River Bottling Company and what you guys have here, what you do.
We are hobbyists that decided to make it a business.
Perfect.
We randomly met. I was getting out of one business, and we randomly met at a party next door to my house, and it was love at first bite.
Nice.
I tried this sauce right here, John's Jalapeno Grass Fire, and
cool.
I was like, I want to know more about this guy, and he said, well, I've been thinking about getting into barbecue sauce, and I said, give me just a minute, and walked over to my house and I had this Four Horsemen that I've been making for about 13 years, and brought him a jar, and we started talking the next day. I mean, I think he sent me a text that said, where do you want this sauce to go? And I said, the world.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, that's all she wrote. We just started going through all the details and hashing out all of the little nitty gritty things. And yeah, been crawling uphill ever since. It's been good.
Yeah, it was a fateful night, ironically, at a barbecue where we
Perfect.
met. Yeah, the best place to meet people.
Right.
And I think both of us were primed for that meeting to occur. We didn't know it yet,
Yeah.
but the stage was set. We were both ready to make that leap. And luckily, the partnership was very complimentary from the beginning and has allowed us to grow and to expand and make our hobby into something that we can share with a lot of people.
Well, I think that's
great.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the most important things. People don't prioritize their happiness over just money, you know? And so I think it's something that's really cool that you guys have the hobby and you have the passion and you like the hot sauce and the barbecue sauce and all of the delicious sauces. And so it's just really neat that you guys had the opportunity now to be able to launch it into the next step.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like you said, the happiness. And I think with anything, sacrifice comes with it.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of fun what we do, but it's a lot of work too. I mean, we both have full-time jobs, and there's often times where John and I will email each other back at 4:30 in the morning. I'm getting up, he's going to sleep because we're both working on our own schedules. And there's been times where it's like we've cooked barbecue sauce all night because that's the only time we had. So literally, I mean, there's been times where both of us have worked 40-hour days and barbecue sauce and our other jobs. So it's there's that sacrifice that I think a lot of people aren't willing to do, and that's what separates a lot of people from running a business to just accepting the status quo.
Yeah.
But it's okay. People get scared of that, and it's okay. There's all the little things that it takes to open a business, but after that, doing it for yourself goes a lot further.
Yeah.
And it means a lot more. A great example is when I first started my contracting business 13, 14 years ago, I quit in August to start my business. I quit my main job. It took me, I believe, 5 years to make the same amount of money as I did in those 8 months working for someone else. And if I hadn't looked at the books, I wouldn't have known.
Right.
I thought I was making more because I was enjoying myself more.
Right.
I was working way harder, way more hours, but it was for myself.
Right.
And that reward, that's huge. And I think John and I are on the same page with that. John hadn't been in business before. We talked about that, and we talked about, those balances of learning the new things with business. I can't speak for both of us, but I think neither of us, if everything went bad right now, I would have zero regrets.
Yeah.
Even if it went belly up, it's you got to be driven to have that, want that for yourself. And it feels like freedom, even if it's, it's not, this could go on and on, but it's not necessarily about the money, really. It's really about us doing our own thing.
Yeah.
And having control over our destiny, or at least the illusion of control over our destiny.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and giving something back to the community, I think, was big for us. We started out from the beginning as wanting to turn this into something that was for us as well, but also focused on what the community wanted on a small scale. and giving back something that people would enjoy. And
Yeah.
was rewarding for us on the side as well. And the sacrifices, mixing that with our regular job, wasn't enough to stop us from going ahead down that path, thanks to the partnership that we had.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I think providing, a lot of people don't think about the value that it's going to be able to provide to your audience or to the people that are going to be purchasing it. It's just like, this is a cool thing. And so the fact that you guys actually took that into consideration is something that's, I think, really, really cool. So you've had a couple of other businesses before, is that right, Lev?
Yeah, I should clarify. I've done a couple other things with
Okay.
with one business.
Nice.
So I started out as a general engineering contractor,
Mm-hmm.
got my license in 2007, I believe, 2006. I started out with landscaping. That was kind of my background and stuff I wanted to do a little bit more. And then that took off into different avenues. I did different things with that. When it got into the fiber optics industry for a while, and I had crews and DBAs in Washington, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Utah as well. So we were
crazy.
working all over. Yeah, and it was, that kind of comes back to that whole thing about the money. That was the money end of things. I mean, I had $500,000 in equipment,
Yeah.
and I had crews all over, and it was something I could have retired off doing in maybe another 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough for me. It was actually just the opposite. It made me feel I was on the road all the time. I was gone. I wasn't enjoying my life. And there was a lot of money coming in again, but it's not what I wanted. And that's the great thing is people think, oh, I'll start a business and then I'll work that until the end. And it's like, well, if that's all you're going to do,
Right.
and just be safe, then just keep a job working for someone else and
Right.
don't take on the headache. So that was almost as exciting. Walking away from that and selling that part of my business was almost as exciting as starting a new business, because it's like there's no written rule about what you have to do or what you don't have to do. If the whole idea of this is freedom, whatever that freedom is, and the disclaimer here is everybody should find out what their happiness is.
Absolutely.
And what they actually want and what their end game is. And mine is the freedom to do what I want when I want.
Yeah.
It's not a huge bank account. It's not all that. So for me, everybody might have their own different thing that they define. So getting out of the fiber optics industry, which it's a huge industry. It's
Yeah.
great. I mean,
Oh, it is.
If you want to make money, get in that industry, go work it for 20 years and then retire, and you'll do good if you're semi-smart about it.
Semi-smart. That's good.
But I think it's one of those things where, this kind of came back to, this was such a good fit. Like John said, we were both queued up and ready for this, because I thought, man, I've been on the road, I've been traveling here. I talked to John and, oh, here's another business opportunity. I wasn't fine with just doing the same thing, the status quo, even in my own business. So it's like, oh, here's an opportunity, and understanding that opportunity was huge, and saying, I can stay home, it's work is work, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
And focus on this. So, yeah, I mean, those other businesses, I think that's the other thing too, is that people find, oh, I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to stick to that.
Right.
Kind of coming full circle is, what you might not. You
Right.
might find out that that's not what you like to do, and that's okay. It's okay to walk away from it. It's okay to put in all that work and walk away, because if your number one goal is your happiness, then you should be able to fight through it a little bit, but if it's not the right thing, be able to walk away from it.
I think a lot of the times people need to do like the reassessing of their own self as well, because it does change. Like your pursuit of your own happiness changes on the daily. And a lot of people don't take the time to sit back and say, okay, so is what I'm doing every single day still making me happy? And I just think that needs to be prioritized way more.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Totally. We get stuck in ruts
yeah,
thinking about, the long end game and trying to fight your way through from step A to step Z. And it's a long drag. And saying that you can start your own business and make it through that process is really nice. But like Lev said, you can step away from it, and it's not horrible. You learn lessons. Lev's experience with the business side of the world has allowed him to be very fluid in how he applies his knowledge. Lessons that he learned in the fiber world, he's been able to apply in the sauce world. Completely different industries, but he was able to take those lessons and transfer it into something that made him happier.
Yeah.
So that initial plunge into the business world provided him with tools and experience that made him quite a bit more fluid in his future. That was incredible, and it's taught me a lot for sure.
that's awesome. So have you guys, either one of you guys, growing up, were you like business minded? Growing up, like, this is what I want to do, this is the kind of thing that I want to be able to do. Growing up, you know, you go around, you sell baseball cards, you do car wash, you do those kinds of things. Is that something that you guys started off doing?
That's a really good question. Not at all. It definitely wasn't. It wasn't in my bailiwick, and it wasn't in my household. A little bit, but it wasn't like entrepreneur minded. As far as my folks, my dad was an amazing professor, retired from USU. My mom is a writer and spent the time. So she did do that as a writer. She'd have to outsource and all that. But it definitely wasn't in my mind or even something I considered. That being said, I think most people are catalyst driven. So for me, I started my business and then just kind of floated for quite a while because there wasn't a major catalyst. You know, and it's a horrible thing to say, but sometimes it takes a lot of people. You know, you talk about rock bottom, you talk about different things. For me, I lost my brother 5 years ago, and thank you, and it changed everything. I mean, the way I looked at business, and it's like taking the fear and using it for something positive. So, I had that experience, and I was like, that's when my fiber company blew up, and I just said, I'm not going to be afraid of anything anymore. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to take that step and to get into business, and then it'll be okay. You need to risk. John and I have talked about this a lot. We have to take risks outside of our comfort zone all the time. All the time. We've got an opportunity this spring to grow exponentially, and it's a huge risk for us. It's a financial risk. It's us transferring really into this business, because when it's, at this point it's kind of a hobby and it's something we do on the side. So that risk thing, and that, whether you've got aversion to risk or driven to whatever your own personal, how you deal with risk, it changes. John and I are opposites in that way in a lot of ways, and then complements in another, in a lot of ways where I am willing to take major risks because of a catalyst that happened, because I was like, okay, I'm not going to be afraid anymore. I'm going forward. Sometimes that's a really good thing, and sometimes it's a really bad thing. So, we talk about that quite a bit, where I'm like, shoot for the moon. If it was me alone running this business, it'd be big in 5 years and then gone in 6 years. So the balance of the partnership is like, John takes risks where I wouldn't consider them, and vice versa. So it's this really good keeping each other grounded. But I think a lot of people think they're safe in what they're doing, and then won't take that step, and it's just the opposite. You're not safe in sitting still, and don't wait for something horrible to happen to motivate you to do it. Do it, and that's the biggest thing I learned, is do it right now. Do what you want right now. Not tomorrow, not New Year's resolution stuff, right now.
And that's been one of my biggest motivations also. It's like, because you do see a lot of people just sit back and they say, okay, well, this is my comfort zone. This is comfortable. I'm okay with just being comfortable. And, one of the things that I really say is being comfortable and living in a realm of like mediocrity is not okay with me. When you know that you can succeed and you can achieve and you can move on and do just massive, massive things. So with you guys being in this partnership, I can't even imagine what it's got to be to like bring on a partner in this kind of a situation. So what's been like the biggest struggle for you guys with that kind of partnership?
I would say for me, there hasn't been much struggle at all. It's been a match made in heaven.
That's cool.
That we were very fortunate. Like, if you were to ask me what's the biggest thing that has made this business work, I would say get yourself a Lev.
Nice.
Right? Like, if I could give anybody advice, I'd say go to Walmart and pick yourself up a Lev.
Go to Walmart and pick yourself up a Lev. That's awesome.
Boots aisle. It's boots.
Obviously.
I'm very risk averse. There's that huge amount of fear that I was unable to overcome early on with this. I actually was pushed into thinking about this on a commercial scale by friends who I was giving bottles to on the side, and they're like, just do it. And I was like, I'm not ready to do that.
Right.
I met him, and he was the opposite. He was like,
go.
And, your point a few minutes ago saying, there's fear involved with this. We had this conversation 2 weeks ago when we were looking at some pretty big growth coming down the pipeline, and I had this pit of fear in my stomach that still pops up like every month of like, what have I gotten myself into? Can I handle this? And I think that's probably very common for a lot of people that have never been in this situation before.
Absolutely.
And Lev texted me, he said, that feeling that you have is fear. And he said, you need to ignore that and use it to your advantage.
Yeah.
And like, that totally makes sense. And now that's like a slogan that I have written on my
Yeah.
wall in my office. It's like, ignore fear, use it to your advantage.
Yeah.
And that's been something that's driven me for sure.
On the flip side of that, that's, like I said, about blowing up the company and then it disappearing. That's the other side of it, is that I have that bad habit of like, I have this like way of looking at things where it's like, oh, anything's possible. And it's like, well, yeah, anything's possible doesn't mean you should do it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
People wrestle alligators, but it doesn't
You
always
shouldn't
pan
do
out
it.
for
I
them.
mean,
Yeah,
there we get
exactly.
Florida man,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I mean, it happens all the time.
Exactly. So I think that's the thing, is that it's like, that's where the partnership comes in, and
Yeah.
that's where the balance comes in, and carrying the weight of, like, it really comes back to this, carrying the weight of running a business, and especially growing a business. Running a smooth operational business that you're not trying to grow is one thing. We're in a stage where we're trying to grow exponentially, and the weight of that, to have two people take that on, when an issue comes up, we hash it out and we move on, and we find this middle ground. I mean, eventually, always, and sometimes he has a strong opinion on something that I don't have an opinion on. Awesome, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
And vice versa, and it's like that. It is a good balance. You don't, I would never partner with someone like me.
Yeah.
That'd be terrible. We both, just bad things that happen. But so you got to have that balance. But at the core of who we are, we're the same. We have the same drive. We have the same morals. We have the same end game in mind. And so I think that really helps. And yeah, I mean, the biggest. This is a great conversation we had when we were getting our articles of incorporation, being an LLC, and all that set up, and we were sitting there talking about it, and talking about the cost going inside. And I was kind of flippant about his concerns at first, and I realized, 10 years ago that was scary for me. Like anything was scary, and having putting a couple $1,000s into something was terrifying to me. And I said, and that's what comes with time. And this is a great thing I look back on, and it kind of balances business. I've done great, but realistically, I've probably lost way more money than I've ever earned. Right. Which doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's kind of part of business. And we were talking about the cost of, and side note, I'm very forward about talking about numbers and all that. And I wish more people in business were.
Oh, I agree.
Because I think people, for some reason, it's like a taboo thing.
Right,
like,
don't talk about it.
we don't talk about the numbers, and I think people need to talk about the numbers.
Yeah.
You need to confront the numbers and know what they are. But anyway, we were talking about it when we were signing contracts and kind of getting those articles all set up. And I was telling him, he's like, wow, man, it's kind of a big risk. And he's right. He's absolutely right. But I always refer back to, I've lost over $30,000 in 2 weeks. So it's like, I don't care. I don't care about 10% of that.
Whatever.
And I know that's not a good way to think, but that's why the balance is so good.
Right.
Because it's like, and on the flip side, the person I am 5 years ago and the person I am now, totally different. The business person John is, now, and he was 2 years ago, totally different. So I think understanding that it is going to be a process, and it's going to be this. Man, it's this. I mean, it's like, how are we going to even get to this next level? And then you figure it out.
So what is your guys' end goal? Can I ask your end goal? I mean, do you have, because you guys say that you guys both have the same exact end goal, but what is it that you guys are working towards?
I don't know.
Great.
I think when we first met and we were talking about everything, we said we want to make Northern Utah a destination for sauce flavors.
Cool.
I moved here from Colorado. This all started because I moved here from a place that had a ton of spicy options to a state that thinks black pepper is spicy.
Yeah.
And so I was really forced
Correct.
to start making my own, and that's how it all started. And now looking down the road, where it's come from, it's pretty insane, and I think the partnership was prime at that time.
Yeah, I think both of us, and I say end goal, I mean, I think selling barbecue sauce, it's that simple.
Yeah.
I mean, selling barbecue and hot sauce and making this work is the end goal. As far as, total distribution, things like that, we kind of don't concentrate on the specifics, other than we've talked about a rate of growth we'd like to see over the next 10 years. And that could change. Honestly, there's a pretty good chance that the first year we talked about that rate of growth is that we might blow out the first year trajectory.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And I think what we could see happening is as long as we're growing and we're seeing this and people are loving our sauces, we're going to keep doing this because both of us just love what we do. I love making barbecue sauce. And honestly, at the end of the day, my favorite part, and I bet John's favorite part is the same as this, watching people taste it for the first time and watching their face. I mean, it's just, so the funny thing is I go off about the end goal, but at the same time, making barbecue sauce is
That's the end goal. That's cool.
We're there, and we'd like to get more there.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I mean, when it comes to my own life and my own situations and things along those lines, I like to say that, like, for some things, this is very, like, let me put a little asterisk by this, okay, this isn't really the best way to run business, but I think that having an expectation kind of is disappointing, because you have an expectation, you expect this thing to happen, and then you fall just shy of that, and then you're extremely disappointed because you didn't hit quite that. And so I'm not saying, oh my gosh, if you're running a business, you should probably have no expectations, but, you know, have your expectations set, but also have them be manageable and reachable, really. And so I think that's awesome to be able to have that kind of a goal that you're meeting every single day.
Well, that's the other side of that, is that happens, and I guarantee you're on the same boat. Every morning I schedule out my day.
Yeah.
If I get 60% of it done, you've got to emotionally remove yourself to some extent from the finances, because people get so tied into the finances or the end goal. I think it's great to have those goals, but I also think
you need them.
Yeah, you have to have them. You got to drive towards something.
Right.
But I think you also have to say, like, you know, the quote I've always heard from inspirational people is, don't shoot for the moon, shoot for Mars, and if you make it to the moon, you're doing pretty good.
Exactly.
You know, it's one of those things. So I think that's huge with business, is like, you're absolutely right. Like, you need to have those goals, but you also need to not beat yourself up if you don't make them, because honestly, if you're running a business or starting a business and you get a little bit of it done and you're working in that direction and you're showing up every day, you're doing better than 99% of everyone that's out there.
It's true.
That first step and taking a step, you know, it's like all these cliche things, but they really are cliche for a reason. They tie into it, the journey of 1,000 miles. It's one step.
Yeah.
So great, you're going to go 1,000 miles. And maybe you only make 3 steps today, but there's tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember, you know, in Fiverr, it's like I had 25 employees, and there was times where I was like looking over 3 months, and I was like, I made 50 cents an hour for 3 months.
Yep.
And I just did $500,000 in work. What?
Yeah.
What am I doing wrong? And it's like, it's just part of it. Like, it all of the good and all of the bad comes with it.
Yeah.
And the more you risk, the bigger you risk, the more good and the more bad. It's a balance, but it's your good and it's your bad.
Yeah.
So the goal thing, I think it's really important to have that goal and accept when you don't make that goal.
Yep.
You know.
And I think it's important to recognize that those bads might feel bad in the instant, but they provide lessons.
Yeah.
And you can either let them drag you down, or you can use them as motivational fuel and grow from it. And it's very easy to let it break you down in the instance. I've had people at the farmer's market stand come and try a sauce, and like, oh, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
And at that moment, like, that cuts you to the core. Like, this is something
'cause
you've poured your heart into.
Exactly, right.
And you realize, like, all right, 9 out of 10 people have really good reactions, and that's really great. It's very rewarding and surreal, but that one person that didn't like it sticks with you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it could drag you down, but you really have to just refocus that negative energy in a way that helps you in the long run.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of people get caught up on that one bad review, that one bad comment, but a lot of the times it's just people that aren't doing for themselves, and you just have to put your head down and you just have to keep getting back to work. Yep. You don't focus on the one bad thing, and you know, that's one of the things that I've had to really focus on, and I've had to really talk to a lot of the people that I work with and just say, look, sure, they suck, but they suck, and you have to keep your head down, you have to keep doing your work, because whatever you're doing is bigger than them, you know?
Right. Sorry, I was just going to say that's absolutely true. I didn't even think to say that, but what you both said is like, that's the key. That is the ticket to business. And I can't say how many times I've been in a situation where I'm like, I can't keep going. I can't do this anymore. I can't, and it's not just a review. It's something that it's like, I am owed my own salary for the next 5 years. Obviously it's going to the business, but it's like, I've been owed 6 figures from different contracting companies and fiber optics and not been able to like put gas in my truck. Not, like, I mean, broke and people, and I don't blame most people, but at that stage they're like, I'm not doing this anymore. This is crazy. And it is crazy, but I think if you can figure out your way and keep doing that and get ahead of it, that's what makes the difference between somebody in a successful business and not, is that it's like, you gotta go through, and those bad things that happen to you and those days where you're just like, I can't, you know, you wake up exhausted, you didn't sleep, you're stressed to the max, everything seems terrible. If you can get to the flip side of that, you're worth more to yourself, you're worth more to everyone around you, and you're gonna do better in business. Every one of those things that's so hard and so painful, it just makes you a little bit better. It's like Tetris or something. I don't know.
Seriously. Well, you got to work through all of the things that are really, really, really hard, because the people that are massively successful, you see these big business owners and these big corporate companies, and you're like, how the heck did they do it? Because they grinded, and they did it every single day, and it didn't matter if they were sick, and it didn't matter if they were having a hard day. You get in there, you do your business, and you do your craft, and you hone it better than the next person, and you keep going. And I think that's one thing that people don't realize, the hard work that actually goes into it, and the amount of work that goes into it.
Every single business out of the hundreds in Cache Valley, ranging from small guys in the kitchen making sauce to huge corporations pumping out national products. Every single one of those people went through stories and tribulations that tested them. And it filters people out for sure. And if somebody's on the fence, they need to be very aware that there will be those tribulations.
It's not just easy. You can't just walk out and just do it. It's like, oh yeah, you know what? This sounds great. I'm going to just not have any problems, and it'll just be successful. No, there's the hard stuff that goes with it.
If it was that easy, everybody would be doing it.
Exactly. So what's your guys' motivation when it comes to this? I mean, you love it. It makes you happy. Is that your main motivation for making barbecue sauce? You know, you think about it with this exact same thing. People struggle to be able to get out and be able to do it, and you know, it's a hard day. Is it just because you're like, well, yeah, okay, well, let's just do it one more day, just the same cliches that you're talking about that get you through? Or
I think that's a really good question. This kind of ties back into what we were just talking about. I think be ready for extreme responsibility. I mean, that's the greatest thing. And honestly, that's why I started my own contracting company. And that ties into this as well. And that ties into that kind of entrepreneur mindset, is it's like, are you ready to take on everything? Every good thing that happens and every bad thing that happens in your life. That's the motivating factor. And that's part of this, is that it's like, if I'm going to have happiness or I'm going to have wealth, it's going to be because of me and the people I love and the people around me. You know, working as a cohesive group. I mean, you know, our wives are basically partners in this business. We've got friends that help. We've got, you know, so many good people in this community that have just been so supportive. Obviously, we're in Cache Coffee. These guys have been great. And just this whole community. So I think it has to do more with being involved in your own life. You know, that's my motivation, is I want to, whatever happens from it, you know, it's ours to own. And I think people really escape that. And people escape it for the wrong reasons, as far as they don't understand that extreme ownership or extreme responsibility. The company I worked for before I started my own business, you know, they basically said, well, you know, it was a lot of passing the buck, and so-and-so did this. Like a lot of people do in corporate situations, unfortunately.
And it sucks.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
It's the worst.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't fix anything.
No, it's just passing the blame on to somebody else, and nobody's taking ownership of the issue.
Exactly. And, you know, I always talk to my employees about that. You guys are going to screw up, and you're going to screw up bad. I mean, I've done this. You know, in the excavation industry, the amount of damage you can do in 2 minutes. It's amazing. I have really good insurance, we'll just say that. Good. But it's one of those things, and you know, same with this, like, we worry about our processes because of the damage that it can cause, you know, if someone got sick. But I think that extreme responsibility is, you surround yourself with people who agree with that and think like that. You know, John and I are like, the buck stops here. If something's wrong,
It's
if we
here.
have 1,000 employees and something's wrong, it's our fault.
Yep.
So if you have that mindset, you're going to do good, because
Absolutely.
it's like if you're good with taking on every bad thing and every good thing, then great. You know, if you have a mentality, if someone has a mentality of like, I want to blame somebody else or a different contractor or a different, you know, supplier or whatever, you're not gonna do any good.
No.
In that. Anyway, I went off on that, but I think, yeah, I mean, I think our you know, the freedom that comes
Yeah.
with it is for me, the
Yeah.
freedom for my family. You know, John will tell you, I take a lot of weird time off whenever I can.
That's awesome,
And
though.
that's
You know,
what I want.
Being able to do something along those lines is awesome. I think that's the goal for a lot of people, you know. And I really like what you were saying, and we can keep going on that realm, because I cannot tell you how frustrating it is to work somewhere and it's like everybody just passes the buck on to somebody else. And again, I just think nobody takes ownership of the issue. And so if you're ready to be your own boss and you're ready to do that, you have to be the one that's in charge. You have to be the one that is like, okay, that was my bad. I shouldn't have done that. And, you know, you have to be able to swallow your pride and accept that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's something we both accept, and that's, you know, we talk about partnership. John and I talk about it and why we would get into this partnership and what makes sense about it. And I think there's important things like that where it's like we both are going to take that on. If
Right.
something is wrong with our process, it's not a matter of, you know, or out in the field, you know, doing contracting work. If something's wrong with it, let's go figure it out.
Yeah.
Let's go make it right. And that's how you accomplish things.
Absolutely.
You don't accomplish things by passing the blame.
No.
And there's been plenty of times where it's like hypothetical situation, I'm on a job and I see something else that's wrong and it's holding up my process, or something that's, you know, minor and it's not like I'm going to have to take future responsibility
Right.
for, that somebody else did, just fix it.
Right.
And we'll move on. And
Absolutely.
that's how you work as a team. You know, when we're in the kitchen cooking,
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, I'm not going to do anything because that's not my job.
Yeah. Well,
It's
you
like,
didn't put enough of this
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's
Do my
your
dishes,
bad.
Liv.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
We all just go in there, you know, we'll cook, sometimes 5 people will be in there, and we'll go in, and everybody just stays busy. Oh, what can I do? What can I do? And everybody's doing the same thing, and it's awesome. It's still
That's cool.
hard work, but it's like, you know, I've worked in pouring rain, through the night, standing in mud, and you can work with good people,
Yep.
and that's not a bad situation. You know, just being bitter cold all night and joking around and being around people that everybody's working together. It's a huge, huge difference between, you know, and that kind of ties back into the happiness too.
Yeah.
Is it's like, what if your job or your company wasn't about making you happy outside of the company? What if the company itself was part of what was making you happy?
Yeah, and
You
that
know,
would be so cool.
and that's doing what you want to do. So like when John and I go in and we got a couple other guys in there and we're blasting metal and making barbecue and hot sauce, and I'm like, this is my job.
This
Like,
is the dream.
yeah, exactly. I don't care if it's 1 a.m. and I
Yep.
have to drink more Red Bull. This is as cool as it gets. And then people are going to buy this and give me money for doing this.
Right.
It's like, it's pretty simple.
How did we fall into this job?
Right. That's so cool.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool.
For me, going back to your question earlier
Yeah.
on why we do this, for me it was a lot of the sense of giving back to the community and being a productive member. At least for me, I've seen over the last 5 to 10 years sort of this transition in our country of realizing that there's not always the best thing of buying things from other side of the planet. And
Right.
there's sort of this awakening of more local small business buying from your community, and that really impacted me, and I wanted to be a producer as opposed to just a consumer.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And being able to use this as an avenue to share my passion, share our passion with the community, but also leverage it to give back. We do a lot of community outreach events, auctions, charity work, where our sauces are featured and given out and supporting those. And for me, that's a huge selling point.
Yeah.
Is feeling like there's a reward of being part of the community and producing for the community as opposed to just consuming.
Yeah.
I bet a lot of small businesses feel that way. There's
Yeah.
a sense of pride in that.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's the coolest thing, you know, to say I did this and I did it for the community and I did it to be able to give back to the community. I think that's so fulfilling, because truthfully, you know, not a lot of people a lot of people talk about, oh yeah, well, let's just order this from here, and then it'll come, like you said, from the other side of the world, and it's cool to be able to find those things and find those things locally. So I think it's awesome.
And to support American families. One of the things I really appreciate about the Cache Valley Media Group is commercial breaks all the time have these promos for the advantages of local businesses, and those really resonate with me now, seeing it from this side of the coin, is seeing how special and important small and local businesses for that community. And once in a while, those small businesses can grow in a little bit bigger, and we see Utah has so many tremendous big businesses that started out small
Just
and now are
local too.
Are huge contributors to philanthropic endeavors across the state. And if I had a dream that could be realized, that we could turn into some small version of that, where we can really be pillars of the community and give back.
That's awesome. That's an awesome goal. I love that. I love that. So what's the biggest success that you guys have seen thus far, whether it be with Bear River Bottling Company or whether it be with some of your other ventures that you've been a part of?
I would say, with Bear River Bottling, it is, I kind of keep coming back to this. My other business is really the breadwinner right now, so it's hard to put that off, but it also, and I love what I do. Right. At the same time, there's not all those kind of extra things that go into it. Like, we've got the two, back to what John was saying, we've got 2 sauces that go to good causes, that we raise money for. And,
That's cool.
And that's been huge. That's been really huge for both of us. We both have been affected by loss, as I talked about earlier, and I think that catalyst comes back to like, okay, we can do this. We can add more to the community. We can do something. In a loss, people feel impotent, and this is something where we've regained that and been able to come in and say we can give back. And as we grow, we can give even more, and that's huge. But I think that's part of the success. Honestly, it feels good. It feels good to say we're doing something for
absolutely.
Good cause
Absolutely.
Outside of that, and for whatever reason, it's nice to have. I think a lot more people would actually want to do that with their business. Again, Cache Coffee does so much of that stuff, community outreach, and a lot of people, given any opportunity, will do that. So I think that's been a big part of our success, is saying, oh man, we get to have giveaways to all these different things. We do Oaks Nature Center, Cancer Bites, we do UPR, all sorts of stuff.
That's awesome.
It's a lot of fun to do that and just be able to give back. But I think, the funny thing about the success thing is, I think when it comes down to it, everything else outside of the financial side, you just say, people trying this and saying, wow, that's really good. Or people like...
So surreal.
It's amazing to get... And we get people that are... We had this guy, and I'll never forget this. The first year, he bought some hot sauce from John. I talked to him a little bit. We were at the Cache Valley Gardeners Market. The next year, he came back, and I think it was the Tropical Citrus. He came up to the booth, bought 2 bottles, opened one, and just drank.
Are you kidding?
And I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, you're my idol. What is going on? He's like, oh man, I didn't know where to find you guys, and I've been waiting for this moment.
That's awesome.
And I was like, I've been waiting for this moment.
Right.
But seeing, food's a funny thing. It comes back to, we all tie back into it. Food is love.
Yeah.
Cooking for other people is a sign of love. Making food. And so when you make something that it's like, we worked so hard on all of these recipes. 2 of my recipes I made accidentally, but the other ones I worked really hard at, and I know John worked really hard developing all these quality recipes. So when you put so much effort into it, outside of the money, you see people try it, and people enjoy it, and people pick you, and we use high-end stuff, so it's expensive compared to the other market, but when you see people pick you over craft, it's like...
It's a big deal.
It's because they care.
It's a big deal.
And that, I think, for me, that's the biggest success to us. When we've talked to some major chains, and I've gone in and had them taste the sauces, and they're excited about it.
That's good.
It's like, okay, this is real. This isn't us that are just like sauce geeks, and we think we're doing good. Other people are like, this is amazing. Or we see these reviews. We've got a guy on YouTube that's just got done reviewing all of John's sauces.
That's cool.
And watching his facial expressions while he's reviewing, I'm like, it's like your wife said, I want to go eat the sauce that I have 1,000 bottles of right now after watching this guy. So I think
And he's reviewed like 2,000 sauces,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
to hear it from like somebody with that
Yeah.
perspective and to see him enjoy it is, like, when those videos roll in, like, there's at least 24 hours where I don't watch it because I have like a huge amount of anxiety. Like, what if this guy doesn't like it? Like, this is out there for everybody to see. Like, this is me being exposed to the public,
Yeah.
and it feels terrifying. And then I finally break down and watch it, usually like on my lunch break or something when no one's around. I'm hiding in the closet with the drapes drawn and all that.
Right.
And I watch the video and I see this guy and he tries it and reviews it and it's like positive. He enjoys it. It's like, wow, that really justifies the time and sacrifice going into it. Like the first 2 years that I was doing this,
Yeah.
I gave away like 70% of the stuff that I was making for friends and family, strangers, charity work. So I definitely took a loss in that, but seeing people's reaction and enjoying it, that was all the driving force I ever needed, for sure.
That's awesome. And I actually want to go back to something that you just said, John, about giving things away. A lot of people don't realize, because it does take a lot of work, but it does take a lot of that giving things away, doing work for free and giving things away to make sure that you're successful. Have you guys seen that a lot with your business and your businesses that you've started?
Oh yeah, the first year that we were doing this together, we purposely did not keep track of what was being sold. We knew what we were producing,
Yeah.
we knew the kind of money that was coming and going, but we didn't have an inventory count of bottles because we knew that we were giving so much away to stores and people, trying to just to spread the word and let people know that this was out there. And that didn't bother either of us at all.
That's
we knew
cool.
that that was a component of early growth stage.
Yeah.
And eventually you gain your footing.
Yeah.
And from that footing, you have a lot of options on what kind of steps you want to take from there. And for us, like Lev said, he'll shoot for the moon, and I sort of am a tether that pulls him back a little bit, says, let's make sure that we're making careful decisions. And then there are other times when my intuition is way off and Lev reins me in. And I think, having somebody or at least some experience that you can draw upon to know the kind of steps from the early stages after you have really just tried to get your footing into growing a legitimate business. That's also a key component as well.
Yeah. That give and take, I think, is really cool. I think it's really important. Where can people find your stuff? The stuff.
Online right now,
Okay.
here in Cash Coffee, we are in both North Logan Lee's and Smithfield Lee's. We have a hard time keeping John's hot sauces stocked in North Logan. We thought, it's kind of a funny story, we thought there was a confusion and that they hadn't stocked our sauces and they just sold out of all of John's sauces in like 2 weeks.
That's so cool.
So we're at Kitchen Needs Love to Cook. We are on the, not for sale, but Ibis has us to put on the food. Where else? What am I missing?
South Fork Hardware.
South Fork Hardware, Hill Air Force Base.
Hill Air
Nice.
Force. There is an excellent hot sauce store down in Ogden. It's like the only place in Ogden, or like probably in northern Utah, that has a collection of hot sauce. They have 500 flavors from across the
Holy
country. We're down there, and that place is incredible. If
That's
anybody's
cool.
watching this or listening, the store is called Burn Your Tongue.
Burn Your
and
Tongue.
You will
Perfect.
spend hours, and it's in the Newgate Mall at the
Nice.
Quilted
Okay,
Bear.
okay.
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
amazing. I'll get lost in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. What are you guys' socials so people can find you across social media and be able to find you and order and all of that jazz?
Yeah, we're on Instagram and Facebook right now, probably
Okay.
branching out to LinkedIn maybe, I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
yeah.
My wife kind of runs that end of things.
We're horrible with social
we're
media.
bad at
It's
that
okay.
stuff.
That's okay.
We're good at making sauces, so
there you go.
we figured out we need to bring in other people to do the other
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So, and shortly, hopefully we'll be in a lot more stores. We'll announce that when that all goes down.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll be in a lot of places on the Wasatch Front shortly.
That would be so cool. So what's one piece of advice that you guys would give to entrepreneurs, people that are looking for like starting a business? What's priority number one piece of advice that you would give to them?
Oh, that's hard.
I know.
'Cause there's so many pieces of advice.
Put you right on the spot.
I think, also, so the disclaimer is what works for one person doesn't
work for everyone.
I mean, basic accounting and things like that, and,
Right.
and the way you run your business financially is one thing, and I think that's important, and that's basic, have a basic understanding of that. But I think make a plan, even if it's a loose plan. But I think the biggest thing is do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go do it. Like if you're driven and if it's keeping you up at night, if you can't think about anything else,
It's time.
Yeah, exactly. Like it'll all fall into place or it won't. The worst thing is that, well, just don't think of it like that. I mean,
Yeah.
just don't consider. You can't have no. I know it's cliche again.
Yep.
You can't have no in your heart. So just go do it. Go get out there. If you want to try it, if you want to risk it. No, you don't have to sell your whole house and risk everything.
Please don't.
Yeah. But you do have to risk some things, and it's worth it. It's worth risking. I think great risk, great reward.
Yeah.
Keep those things in mind that go with just going and doing it. But I think taking that leap, get through that first initial phase. I mean, when I started my first business, I didn't know how to get the licensing and all of that set up and everything I needed. Found a company online, and again, I was working hourly, and this company was like $1,500, we'll do everything. They were based out of Ogden. Paid the $1,500, didn't hear anything for 2 months. Found out that they just took my money and bolted and did that to a bunch of contractors.
Oh my
Well,
God.
scrounging up that amount of money when you're working hourly is pretty hard to do.
Yeah, it is. That's awful.
Just extra money. So that happens. So I just restarted the whole thing, and that comes with it. But you just got to do it.
Yeah.
And you don't do it once.
No.
You got to do it every day. But do it. Just go do it. If you are driven to do it, go do it. Don't.
Do it smartly.
Yeah, do it smart.
Yeah.
That's the plan. Do it smart.
Yeah.
I don't be ready to work more than anyone else.
Yeah.
And, but I think, go do it.
Yep.
That's the ticket.
Push that fear away.
Yeah.
It'll be there in it for, at least for me, and I'll bet for a lot of people, that fear early on won't go away.
Yeah.
But you gotta overshadow it and stay motivated. And
Yeah.
use it. So, but calculated risk.
Absolutely.
I think one of the kill switches for a lot of early growth businesses is trying to grow too quickly and not organically, and they get trapped into a position where they can't get out successfully.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing for us, is based on Lev's past experiences. My aversion to risk is we decided we wanted to grow slowly and within our own means, always focused on growth, but not too much.
That's awesome.
So it was calculated.
Yeah.
Yeah, we built, we spent the last 2 years building a platform. Now, massive growth, to a certain extent, is attainable.
Yeah.
Because we developed our processes, we developed all the things that are really important. But I think, it's, like you said, it's do it smart,
Yeah.
But I think you'll learn all the things you need to learn the hard way like I do, or the semi-easy way like we do together.
Yeah.
You'll learn those things as you go through the process. But I also think reach out to other business owners. I know you asked for one thing, but here's two. Reach out to other business owners and pick their brain. We all work together. Small businesses, I can't tell you how many other small businesses in my industry, in our industry, not in our industry, we all talk and we all work together. Like, how do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do that?
Yeah.
And we're all dealing with the same thing. So you talk to a lot of small businesses, even if you don't know them, I'm willing to bet, someone shot me an email on bearriverbottling.com.
Yeah.
I would write back.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I would give them all the advice. And I think most small business owners are that way.
Everybody wants to see other people succeed. I think it's human nature to want to see other people succeed and to get excited by other people's happiness. And so I think that that's a huge priority that a lot of people just don't even focus on, and a lot of people don't even think about. And then back to your guys' point, networking is number one. Anywhere you go, networking is number one. You think everybody's in competition with everybody else, and they're not. Everybody just wants to see other people succeed. So
especially once you make that step.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of people who, like you said, there's those people out there that haven't taken the step and want the world to fail because they want to pull them down with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think as soon as people have taken that step, you have a more positive, every business owner out there would say, I'm blessed.
yeah.
Even if there's $0 in their bank account,
Yep.
they're going to tell you they're blessed because they're doing their own thing. So I think that's the other thing is, we always talk about with a good friend of mine that owns a local business, it's collaboration, not competition.
Yep.
We all work better together.
Absolutely.
There's other hot sauce businesses, tons of them, tons of barbecue businesses, and we reach out to those guys and work with them.
Yeah.
It's a community for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time and
Definitely.
doing this lovely interview. So thank you to Lev, thank you to John, and check them out on social media, Bear River Bottling Company. Is it just Bear River Bottling Company or just Bear River Bottling?
Just Bear River Bottling.
Bear River
Yeah.
Bottling. So go check it out. And this has been So You Want to Start a Business.